They say the body has 7 doors, but only one ancient key that can unlock them all. Long before the age of modern yoga studios and crystal boutiques, there existed a practice so subtle, so profound, that it was whispered only in the most sacred inner circles of spiritual initiates. It didn't require elaborate rituals, colored beads, or chanting foreign syllables. And yet, this single practice was believed to open all 7 chakras, effortlessly, harmoniously, and completely. This was not just a spiritual curiosity, it was a method of personal alchemy. It turned confusion into clarity, stagnation into vitality, fear into deep-rooted peace. But over time, like so many true esoteric teachings, it was buried under layers of misinterpretation, commercial packaging, and distraction. Today, few even know it existed. Ask yourself this: why do so many seekers spend years trying to balance their chakras with little lasting effect? Why do we open one only to feel another close? Why do techniques feel fragmented, as if each chakra is a separate entity to be wrestled into alignment? What if that's the wrong approach entirely? What if the chakras are not meant to be opened one by one, like stubborn locks on a safe, but rather respond together to a singular, unifying practice? A practice that doesn't isolate them, but speaks to the entire energetic system in one elegant motion. In this video, we're going to journey back, far back, into the mystical origins of chakra wisdom. We'll uncover the forgotten practice that sages once used to awaken their full energetic potential, without force, without strain. We'll explore its roots in ancient teachings, understand why it was lost, and, most importantly, we'll show you how to reclaim it. This is not about learning another technique. It's about remembering one you already knew, before the world taught you to forget.
To understand the forgotten practice, we must first remember something that has been quietly erased from mainstream narratives. The chakras were never meant to be treated as separate energy centers to be worked on in isolation. That modern approach, focusing on one chakra at a time as if tuning separate strings of a harp, would have seemed almost foreign to the ancient adepts. In the earliest esoteric traditions, particularly in Tantra, Siddha medicine, and certain pre-Vedic oral teachings, the chakras were not described as fixed wheels, but as dynamic gates of perception, all synchronized by a single river of inner current known in Sanskrit as Sushumna Nadi. This central channel, flanked by Ida and Pingala, was seen as the sacred pathway through which Kundalini, the coiled serpent energy, would ascend, bringing each chakra online not through mechanical effort, but through inner stillness, awareness, and resonance. And here's the key most have forgotten. The sages knew that this awakening didn't require mastery of countless mantras, poses, or visualizations. It required one thing above all else: the cultivation of deep, conscious presence. Across traditions, from the Egyptian mystery schools to Taoist internal alchemy to the early Gnostics, this idea recurs, that the energy body awakens not when it is manipulated, but when it is recognized and honored in stillness. The forgotten practice we'll explore today has been called many names: inner gazing, witnessing consciousness, non-dual presence, but its effects were always the same: harmonizing the energy body, igniting dormant spiritual centers, and initiating spontaneous transformations of perception. One striking example can be found in the teachings of the Nath yogis, who emphasized shunya, the void state, as the ultimate purifier of the chakras. They taught that sitting in unwavering, silent awareness would automatically dissolve the blockages within the energy system. This idea mirrors the practice of dzogchen in Tibetan mysticism, where practitioners are guided not to fix or activate anything, but to rest in the natural state which reveals the perfection already present. And we also find hints of this in early Christian mysticism, particularly in the Desert Fathers' idea of hesychia, or interior silence. Though they never spoke of chakras, their descriptions of the inner light rising through the heart into the mind are strikingly similar to the yogic experience of Kundalini's ascent. So how did this unified practice fade from memory? As teachings became externalized, translated across languages, continents, and commercial interests, the practices became increasingly fragmented, repackaged into systems with 7 steps, 7 colors, 7 tasks. And while these modern frameworks aren't wrong, they lack the organic intelligence of the original path, a path rooted not in effort, but in surrender. The forgotten practice was hidden not because it was secret, but because it is simple. So simple, in fact, that the modern mind, trained to strive and struggle, often overlooks it. But now, as we begin to unearth this ancient truth, we'll discover that all chakras respond to one thing more powerfully than any technique: the unwavering, illuminated stillness of your attention. Let's step into the heart of the mystery. What exactly is this forgotten practice, and why does it affect all chakras simultaneously? The practice is not a posture, it is not a chant, it is not a visualization. It is this: the act of sustained, undivided, silent inner attention. It sounds deceptively simple, but that simplicity is its brilliance. At its essence, the practice involves sitting or lying still, allowing the body to relax completely, and then placing your awareness, like a steady flame, into the center of your being without interfering with thought, emotion, or sensation. You do not try to control anything. You do not attempt to do anything. You simply watch, deeply, silently, continuously. This is not the kind of passive observation that drifts into daydream. This is not spacing out. It is the fierce, luminous clarity of witness consciousness. And when held over time, without grasping or rejecting, it begins to do something extraordinary. It harmonizes your entire energy system. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your chakras as tuning forks, each vibrating at a certain frequency. When left unattended, those forks gather dust, become detuned, or resonate chaotically due to external noise. Most spiritual techniques attempt to tune them one by one, adjusting the root, then the sacral, then the solar plexus, and so on. It's tedious. Often, realignment in one area causes imbalance in another. But the forgotten practice is more like ringing a master tuning fork, one so powerful and resonant that all others begin to vibrate in harmony simply by proximity. That master frequency is your pure awareness, untainted by thought, agenda, or effort. When you drop deeply into it, it begins to radiate through the central channel, naturally activating and balancing all chakras in sequence, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. This is why so many great sages appeared to do nothing and yet radiated immense energy. Their power was not in complexity, it was in presence. And presence is magnetic. It attracts energy upward. It purifies through resonance. It opens what was closed, not through force, but through coherence. Let's look at how this plays out energetically. When you enter deep, undisturbed presence, your mind becomes quiet, your breath softens, and your nervous system shifts into parasympathetic mode. This allows the prana, or life force, to stop rushing toward external distractions and begin gathering within the sushumna nadi, the central channel of energy that links all 7 chakras. As the energy builds within sushumna, it begins to rise naturally, like heat through a chimney. And as it passes through each chakra, it activates, cleanses, and rebalances without the need for targeted effort. This is why so many great sages from so many traditions described similar phenomena when entering meditative absorption: a rising heat or light, spontaneous visions, a pulsing in the crown or heart, or a blissful hum in the spine.
These are signs not of imagination, but of a system awakening as a whole. Here's the twist. The moment you try to direct this process, you interrupt it. You break the spell. The chakras respond to purity of awareness, not intention. The more you try to do it, the more you reintroduce egoic tension into a process that requires none. It is only when you become still enough to be the mirror, utterly clear, reflecting all without resistance, that the full system reveals itself. So while chakra affirmations, colored foods, or guided meditations can all be helpful, they are like trying to cleanse a river by scrubbing individual stones. This practice, it's like removing the dam. The whole river flows clean on its own. In the next section, we'll go deeper into how this process unfolds over time, the surprising challenges that arise, and why this seemingly passive practice often leads to the most powerful internal awakenings.
So what happens after you begin this practice of sustained inner awareness? At first, nothing. And that is where most seekers give up. But the ancient adepts knew that nothing is not nothing. It is the still soil from which profound transformation takes root. In the initial stages, when you sit in pure witnessing, it can feel unremarkable. You may feel bored, distracted, or even agitated. This is the nervous system detoxing from its addiction to stimulation. The chakras, unused to stillness, often release residue, old memories, repressed emotions, physical discomfort. Many mistake this for a sign that the practice isn't working, but in truth, it is the sign that it has begun. Imagine tuning an old piano. The first keystrokes sound dissonant, but as you continue to strike the keys gently and consistently, the strings begin to stretch into harmony. In the same way, the longer you remain in this deep state of non-doing, the more your inner currents begin to reorient themselves. Your energy becomes aware of your awareness, and in that mirroring, something begins to stir. Let's look at this progression through the lens of the chakras themselves. Root chakra, Muladhara. You may first notice restlessness or fatigue, signs of unprocessed survival stress. As presence deepens, a sense of grounded calm replaces it, like finally exhaling after years of tension. Sacral chakra, Swadhisthana. Emotions may rise uninvited. Shame, desire, grief. Do not cling or push. Witnessing them without reaction allows them to dissolve. You are purifying the waters. Solar plexus, Manipura. You might feel heat in the belly or chest. Power struggles, ego tensions, and self-worth issues may float to the surface. They seek the light of consciousness to be released. Heart chakra, Anahata. Tears may come, not always of sadness, sometimes of beauty, sometimes for no reason at all. This is the chakra responding to non-judgmental attention. The armor begins to crack. Throat chakra, Vishuddha. You may feel pressure in the throat, tingling, or a sudden urge to express. Truth that has been swallowed for years begins to rise. Third eye, Ajna. Inner images, subtle lights, or new levels of clarity may emerge. But again, the goal is not to chase visions. It is to remain present through them. Crown chakra, Sahasrara. A pulsing at the top of the head, sensations of spaciousness, or a feeling of being bathed in light are common. This is the energy returning to its source. This unfolding does not happen in linear order. Sometimes multiple chakras activate at once, sometimes one dominates for weeks. But through the thread of presence, you allow the body's innate intelligence to direct the process far better than the conscious mind ever could. Here's where many hit a paradox. The deeper you go, the more subtle the experience becomes. The flashy phenomena, the buzzing, the colors, the visions may come and go. But what remains is something far more precious, a quiet joy, a luminous stillness.
The sense that you are no longer healing yourself, but that you are healed. This is when the chakras stop being tools and start becoming expressions of your unified being. They are no longer parts of a machine to be tweaked, but notes in a symphony that plays itself through you. And here's the real secret. This practice isn't only for spiritual seekers. It is for anyone who wants to live from a place of centered wholeness. The more time you spend in this awakened presence, the more it begins to affect your outer life. You speak with more clarity. You move with more grace. You relate to others without entanglement. You make decisions not from fear, but from inner alignment. All of this happens not because you tried harder, but because you stopped interfering. In the next section, we will move from insight to embodiment. You'll learn how to begin this practice, how to avoid common pitfalls, and how to know when your chakras are beginning to open as one coherent system. Now, let us step out of the abstract and into the living current of this teaching. How do you begin this forgotten practice? And more importantly, how do you sustain it? The beauty of this method is its simplicity, but that same simplicity can also be your greatest challenge. In a world addicted to stimulation, silence can feel like a threat. In a culture built on doing, being can feel like a failure. But if you're ready to commit, even for a few minutes each day, you will awaken something ancient within you. Let's walk through the basic steps. 1. Create a sacred container. Set aside 10 to 30 minutes. Sit or lie down comfortably, spine naturally upright if possible. The room should be quiet. Dim lighting helps. You are not preparing for performance. You are preparing for return. Turn off all distractions. No music, no apps, no mantras. Just you and the quiet. Silence is the soil in which the subtle blooms. 2. Enter the witnessing state. Close your eyes gently. Bring your attention inward, not to any specific point, but to the general field of your awareness. Feel your body as a whole. Let your breath be natural. Now, do nothing. Observe thoughts without following them. Observe sensations without naming them. Let whatever arises come and go like clouds. You are the sky. There is no goal, there is no progress, there is only presence. That is the key. 3. Stay longer than is comfortable. Your mind will rebel. It will tell you you're wasting time. It will itch, ache, complain. This is not a sign to stop. It is a sign the old conditioning is unraveling. Stay, breathe, watch. Do not engage, do not resist. Let awareness sit in its own fire until only light remains. Start with 10 minutes daily, then expand. Some days will feel powerful, others empty. That's fine. The current works beneath the surface. 4. Notice the afterglow. When you finish, don't rush to speak or scroll. Sit for another minute with eyes open. Just being. Feel the field of energy around you. Often, this is when you'll notice subtle changes. Tingling in the spine, warmth in the heart, clarity in the mind. Over time, these after effects become more stable. They follow you into the rest of your life. Common challenges and how to overcome them. I get bored or distracted. That's part of the detox. Boredom is the ego's protest. Stay anyway. Each time you stay, you're building inner strength. I don't feel anything happening. Subtle energy moves quietly. This is not fireworks. It's a deep tectonic shift. Keep showing up. The fruit ripens in silence. I fall asleep. Try sitting instead of lying down. Open your eyes slightly if needed. Sleepiness is often a defense mechanism, not true fatigue. I'm overwhelmed by emotion or memory. Good. Let it rise and pass. You're clearing residue. Your presence is the fire that transforms it. When you'll know it's working, you'll feel more grounded and energized after sitting, even without stimulation. Your reactions to external triggers soften. Intuitive insights arise without effort.
Your body feels more aligned and spacious. You begin to feel a gentle upward flow in your spine, even while walking or speaking. This is not a new skill to learn, it's a remembering. Your chakras are not locked, they're waiting for your full presence to knock without force. You now have the key.
So now you know, the secret is not hidden in a mountain cave, it's not buried in forgotten scrolls or locked within foreign symbols. It is here, closer than your breath, quieter than your thoughts, simpler than any technique. The forgotten practice that opens all chakras is the practice of unwavering presence. It asks for no belief, no ritual, no external object, only your willingness to sit, to witness, and to allow. And in that radical stillness, the inner architecture of your being begins to awaken. Not because you pushed it, but because for the first time, you got out of its way. Remember, each chakra is not a switch to flip, but a petal to open, responding to the light of awareness like a lotus blooming at dawn. And when all 7 open together, something beyond words occurs. You do not become enlightened. You remember you always were. This is not just a spiritual insight. It's a way of living, a way of walking through the world centered, clear, and alive. With each step, you carry the vibration of coherence. With each word, you transmit presence. And without even trying, you become a mirror for others to remember themselves. If there is one invitation this video offers, it is this. Begin today, not by searching, but by stopping. Not by adding more, but by subtracting noise. Find 10 minutes. Sit in silence. Watch without judgment. Stay longer than is comfortable, and return again tomorrow. In time, you will not need signs to know the chakras are awakening. You will feel it. In your spine, in your breath, in your very being. And you'll know this ancient truth. The greatest unlocking happens not through force, but through surrender. Not through striving, but through stillness. Now the path is yours. The practice is yours. And the silence is waiting. Thank you for taking this journey. If you found value in what was shared today, let this practice be more than theory. Let it become a rhythm, a ritual, a return. And if you're ready for deeper teachings, we'll meet again in the space between thought and breath. Until then, keep opening.